Imagine driving for 6 hours across Australia without seeing another car. No gas station, no cell signal, no sound except wind and your own engine. Just red dirt stretching to the horizon in every direction, and a sky so big it feels like it's pressing down on you. For most people, that sounds like the setting of a nightmare. For over 60,000 Australians, it's just Tuesday. This is the Australian Outback, a stretch of remote interior so vast it covers roughly 70% of the entire continent, and yet holds less than 3% of the country's population. It's one of the most extreme, isolated places on Earth where people still build entire lives, raise families, run businesses, and somehow make it work. So what does daily life actually look like out there, hundreds of miles from the nearest town, in one of the harshest environments on the planet? Body Part 1, the geography behind why almost no one lives there. Nearly 90% of Australians live within about 50 miles of the coastline, clustered in cities like Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. Meanwhile, the entire center of the country, roughly the size of the continental United States, remains almost completely empty. That divide comes down to water. Australia's east coast gets consistent rainfall off the Pacific and Tasman Sea, feeding rivers and supporting agriculture. The Great Dividing Range, a mountain chain running along much of the eastern coast, captures that moisture before it ever reaches inland, bringing rain out of the clouds right along the coastline, across that range. And the landscape changes fast. Rainfall drops off sharply, and central Australia turns into arid or semi-arid desert, places like the Simpson Desert, the Great Victoria Desert, and the vast red plains around Uluru. Without reliable rainfall, there are no major rivers to support large populations, and no easy way to farm at scale. Large-scale settlement simply isn't practical there. It's not that people never tried settling the interior, it's that the land itself makes it extremely difficult. The coast offers water, moderate climate, and fertile soil. The center offers heat, drought, and distance. Given that choice, nearly everyone settled where survival was easier, leaving the dry heart of the continent to the small, resilient communities willing to build a life in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Body Part 2, how people survive the distance and build a daily life without nearby towns. For the roughly 60,000 people scattered across the outback, daily life runs on systems built to overcome distance and isolation. Getting supplies is a challenge. Many outback stations sit hundreds of miles from the nearest town, so families often stock up on groceries and fuel just once every few weeks or months. Freezers, dry goods, and home gardens fill in for a nearby grocery store. Healthcare works differently too. Instead of a local hospital, most remote communities rely on the Royal Flying Doctor Service, which uses small aircraft to reach patients faster than any ambulance could. Education follows the same pattern. Since schools can be hundreds of miles away, many kids grow up on School of the Air, learning through radio and video calls instead of a classroom. Work centers on cattle and sheep stations, some larger than small countries, where workers use vehicles, horses, and even helicopters just to check on livestock. Roles like station hands and remote area nurses aren't just jobs, they're lifelines for communities with no other access to those skills nearby. Every part of life out there has been rebuilt around one fact: help is far away. Instead of that isolation making life impossible, generations of families have simply built new systems to make it work. Body Part 3, the culture and mindset the outback creates. Living with that much distance and isolation doesn't just change daily logistics, it shapes an entire way of thinking, one deeply woven into Australian identity as a whole. Self-reliance isn't just valued in the outback, it's required. When help might be hours or days away, people learn to fix their own vehicles, treat minor injuries, and solve problems without waiting for outside assistance. That mindset doesn't stay confined to the outback either. Much of Australia's broader national character, the tough, practical, no-nonsense Aussie image, traces directly back to this same rural, remote way of life, even among Australians who've never lived there themselves. Community works differently too, built less around proximity and more around genuine reliability. Neighbors on outback stations might live 50 or even 100 miles apart, yet still consider each other close, essential connections. When something goes wrong, a breakdown, a medical emergency, a station in trouble during drought, people often drive hours without hesitation to help. In a place where isolation could easily breed disconnect, it instead strengthens a very specific kind of trust between people who know exactly how much they might need each other someday. That isolation has also preserved something increasingly rare, genuine quiet and open space. With almost no light pollution for hundreds of miles, the Outback offers some of the clearest night skies left on Earth. For many who live there, that emptiness isn't something to escape, it's part of what makes the place feel valuable. There's also deep respect for the land itself, shaped significantly by Aboriginal Australians, who understood this harsh environment for tens of thousands of years before European settlement. That traditional knowledge still informs how many communities work with the Outback today, rather than against it. The Outback isn't empty because nobody wants to be there, it's empty because surviving there takes a completely different way of living, one built on distance, self-reliance, and trust. For the people who call it home, that trade-off isn't a hardship they put up with, it's simply life, shaped by one of the harshest, most beautiful landscapes on Earth. If stories like this, real life in the world's most extreme places, are what you're here for, subscribe. There's a lot more of this planet worth exploring.